All right, we're live, guys. Welcome back to another edition of the Female POV. Moff and TC, your host this evening. Spencer has been traveling. He's got some things going on. So it'll just be the two of us tonight. But we have a stacked panel. We've got a couple returning guests, a couple of new guests. We have so much to talk about. I really hope we get to it all because this is one of them. Everything that I heard backstage, this is a very eclectic panel. So I'm excited about it. So let's go ahead and start with the intros. I'll just do it in the order of which I see pictures across the screen. We'll go with Ivana first.
Hi, I'm Ivana. I'm 34 years old and I live in New Jersey. I'm a model, but I'm also a teacher, and I am currently single.
Celine?
I'm Celine, Chesapeake, Virginia. I'm 47. I'm single. I have two jobs. I am the deputy director for the audit team with the Department of War, and I also am a content creator, and I coach dating advice mostly for men.
All right, who do we have next? Carrie.
Hey, I'm Carrie. I'm 35. I live in upstate New York. I model and create art in the after dark, and during the day I'm a paralegal.
And currently in a relationship, yes?
Oh yes, currently in a relationship.
Cool. Catherine?
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine. I live in Newport Beach, California. I am single and I'm in the process of seeing if I'm able to get my pilot's license. And then I'm 32.
All right, Rachel, on to you.
I'm Rachel. I'm 35. I'm in New Jersey. I'm a fashion designer, and I am recently divorced.
Meeks?
Hi, everyone. I am Meeks Nicole. I am 34. I currently live in Philadelphia. I am dating, and I am a paralegal by day, artist by night. So I model and do music.
And Denise, round us off.
Hey guys, my name's Denise. I'm in Virginia. I model, I publish magazines, and I also have a new IG account called Little Black Dress Social. I am divorced and I am single, and I am 40-something.
40-something. Got it. Yeah, I wrote that down, actually. Cool. Well, ladies, thanks for being here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I have no idea where to start. I said this backstage, so I think we have to start with this, even though there's so much to get to. So, Celine, you were on before. We talked to you a lot about, your situation and kind of your son and your background and your past relationship history, but you didn't say anything about being a dating coach, now dating coach for men. So I've got to ask, what gives? How'd you get down to that rabbit hole and why?
It grabbed me by the throat, I guess. I was posting just content here and there of my experiences while I was trying to date, things that happened, on apps, off apps, in-person meeting. And within 5 days, a couple of my posts on Facebook just kind of blew up, and I started getting a lot of attention, a lot of friends, and I was monetized quickly with Facebook because of the amount of followers that I gained early on. And I played with it a little bit. I was trying at that time, I guess, to speak to women, but I felt more of a desperation for men, like their position and what they would go through, and the stories that they would kind of tell me. And so the empathy in me kind of felt more for the men than I did necessarily the women, which is so weird. And I've just kind of fallen into that. So now basically what I do is I give dating advice and I coach men into how to reach out to women, how to date for your number, what number you are, basically on the scale, for all of your good deeds.
So I'm trying to think where I want to start. TC, maybe we ask what kind of advice, or because I don't really care about your background and qualification or whether you have degrees or whether you're a doctor or a psychiatrist or any of that bullshit. Because some of the smartest people in the world I know have none of that. And some of the guys that know more about relationships and dating have less than that. But I'm curious. So do you have a certain position that you come from? Like, we base a lot of the stuff we do based on like evolutionary psychology, basically the way men and women have always worked. But like, what sort of what sort of dating advice are you giving men? Like, what's your big area of focus, or like, what do you derive your advice from?
I mean, so the natural instinct of a man, right, is to be a hunter. So men are constantly going for women that they have to chase. Well, the women that they're chasing are not women that want to be caught by them. So I think it's important that men realize you have different things, right? There's the physicality, your looks on a scale of 1 to 10, your personality scale of 1 to 10, your emotional availability, what you do for work. All of those things are different numbers, combined. When you get to your average number, they need to be looking at the same number or dumbing it down, because women that are higher than their number are not looking to be with them. So it's more or less, they may not think that it's fair. A lot of them want to argue with me and fight me on it in the beginning. And, then they kind of lay down, because the truth of the matter is, when I can present to them a woman that they wouldn't have looked at that is interested in them, there's their match. I've made I had a singles event recently, and there ended up being an almost freaking tornado, ruined the whole daggone thing. I had 90 people that were coming, 25 came, literally only 6 women. So it's a lesson learned for me moving forward, as I've been asked to host these events once a month. So for my first one, I made 6 women, right? 25 people total. There were 2 matches, and they're still together. So, I feel like, and the 2 men that did meet women were men that I had been coaching for about 2 weeks before the event. And then until that, they met women that they wouldn't typically have gone for, because they weren't what they thought that they deserved.
So, first of all, interesting that you're getting into that space, because I am too, and now you're my competition. I'm going to just have to crush you. But besides that, what if I were to tell you that the exact same thing you just said about you giving advice to men about women is we give the exact advice, but we reverse the roles? Like, what you just described is the exact same advice that I think women have started to get in the last maybe couple of years. But men are like, oh, it makes sense. Like, oh yeah, men, like, settle for that. But like, women, I mean, would you give the same advice to women, or would you say it's
Absolutely different? I would. And I use myself as an example. So I mean, I'm sure all the other ladies here do too, because once you're on a public platform, it just happened. Guys come in the DMs. It is all day long. You're just fishing through. So obviously there are men that are hitting on me and men that are attractive, right? I'm very clear up front. I get it. You think I'm pretty, you think I'm smart. You like what I'm posting online. Did you know that I have 8 dogs, 3 box turtles, 2 dragons, a son that's 10 out of wedlock, a mother that lives with me in the same home, and I have a job that I've worked, full-time for Department of War, which takes the majority of my time. My son is in baseball, and comes first, the most important. When I start labeling all these things, and I can keep going, by the way, but when I start labeling all these things, my number decreases. And so whether I want it to or not, right? I would love to walk around saying and thinking that I'm a 10. I'm not a 10. I think I'm great. I think that there is a man that is looking for a woman like me that does have all that. He's got to be super special and have a lot of patience. But at the end of the day, I'm not an idiot, right? I believe in telling the truth, owning the truth, and moving forward from there. So I feel like women should do that the same as men.
But the difference here is, like, let me ask you it differently, because you kind of said the guy's got to be really special. Like, what kind of guy, if you're being objective about your caliber and you're listing all of those things that you listed, and like, describe the kind of guy that is a match for you that's on that. Like, let's say you're a 5. I'm not saying you're a 5. Let's just assign a number to it. You're a 5. Like, what does a 5 guy look like that's going to go for a 5 version of you?
A 5 guy is probably a guy that has a busy schedule, the same as me. He's got his own life going on, so he's not looking to spend that every second together, right? He's taking care of his own stuff, but also willing to get dirty and take care of the stuff with me. Why are you shaking your head no?
Because average guys aren't doing shit. The average dude is a complete loser. The average guy's got no hobbies. He's got nothing that he does. He's got no friends. He has no ambition. So it's like you're describing, and this is the whole point of it's amazing we got here so fast. Like this is kind of the whole problem, right? And I want to let TC chime in on this after you maybe had a chance to respond.
I love that this is coming from you as a guy, not from one of us. I appreciate that.
Well, hold on. Don't crown me just yet. I'm not here to pander to women. Hold on. I'm the last guy you want to jump the gun.
Buckle up, Rachel. I'm telling you.
This is what I was talking about. He's not that kind. You'll see.
No. I'm honest. I got no reason to lie. That's my point.
That was a very honest
I have no
statement.
reason to lie. But I'll say this. So it's like, that's the thing. Like women, what you think an average guy is like an average dude you're already attracted to, but that guy is already by definition above average in level of attractiveness and just like the things that he does. Legitimately, average guys are invisible to women, right? Like average women are visible to guys like me or visible to guys like TC. We actually talked about this last week. This came up on a call in my personal private community today, where it's like, everybody likes to say that men care more about looks than women when it's actually not true. Women care way more about looks than men do because women's threshold for what they will consider attractive is way smaller. Like a dude will look at a girl who's average and say, yeah, she's attractive, and like all the way up to hot, right? Like 5, 6, 7 points. But women, like, a guy's got to be hot for you to find him hot. Like you just don't find non-hot guys attractive, like traditionally movie star hot guys. So like, that's, I think, part of the problem. It's like, if you can't even see a guy, like if he's invisible to you, then it's like, how could that dude ever be somebody that you would want to date? Because he just doesn't exist to you.
A guy can be a 5 and help him boost his self-esteem and personality, and he could easily turn into a 7. I mean, you're not a 5.
Do you want to do that? Are you gonna hold his hand and teach him how to be charismatic and how to date you, or like, do you want a guy that
not to date me? No, but I mean, that is in essence what I'm offering.
That's what I'm saying, to date you, right?
To date me, you got to come ready. I mean, it just is what it is. You got to be that. You know, I hear what you're saying.
The point that I'm trying to make, though, like you're like, I'm a 5 who should date a 5. You're like, men, date on your level, and you're like, I'm a 5, so I should date a 5. But the 5's got to be, he's actually got to be an 8. You see what's happening here?
Yeah. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah, I love it. Okay.
Especially because I do not agree with that. I am a 5. I would not say that.
I was just assigning.
I know.
We could have put you as an 8, right? Like, because I could do it with any number. It doesn't matter. Like TC could tell you, we can do it with any number. But in any case, like TC, did you want to? I saw you laughing. I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of.
Well, Celine, I love that you're telling men to shoot down. I love it, because this is like the drum I bang constantly to men. Is stop chasing around these chicks that don't really like you. Shoot as far down as you can where your parts still operate properly, and that's where you're gonna find a nice woman that's gonna make you a lasagna. Like that's where she's at, right? Like ignore all of this makeup and shit on Instagram and just find a nice plain woman. But what's interesting is you found yourself like kind of dealing with more men like on that side of the equation than women. And I wonder, were you trying to tell women with some of your content to lower their standards? And is that why you were getting like no interest from women?
Maybe, I don't know, because I can tell you, if you look at the metrics alone, I mean, that's the main part of what I do in my job. Metrics alone show that the men are like, we're talking 90% more. So 10% of women are appreciating the content, and they have of those 10%, some of them have to love me because they're my friends, right? So that doesn't even count. But I'd probably, yes. I mean, I think it is harder for women because, you know, at the end of the day, like we do a lot, you know, I mean, we birth children, you know, we're working careers, we're raising children and working careers at the same time. You know, I'm not trying to take away from men, you know, because I do understand the value of men, but you know, in the same, I think that our standards are a little higher because when you think of, you know, 15 things that need to be done in life, we're probably doing 14 of them.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I want to get some thoughts from the other panel. Like what I was just thinking of, it's like, have you ever gotten mad when somebody did something and then like they tried to use something like, hey, I did this for you, and you're like, I don't care because I didn't ask you to and expect you to. That's what we think about women that work. Like we don't care. Like women love to throw working like in our faces, like as men a lot, because it's like, oh, we do all of this. And it's like, we didn't ask you to, I mean, maybe we didn't ask you to do that. Like dudes never asked women to go to work. That wasn't our giving. So it's like, oh, it's so absolutely. So it's like weaponized against us. It's like, if you served me something that I don't like and you're like, oh, I made this for you. I'm like, but I didn't ask. Go ahead, Denise. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
No, like sometimes you have to step up to the plate as a woman. And what Celine said is, I would rather have my peace and less work. My ex-husband, I had to sell my engagement ring in 2020 because he wouldn't get a job. So men do ask women to do shit that they don't want to do. And then you're gonna ask me, why would you get divorced?
No, I mean, it's fine if you get divorced. Like I didn't say anything about that. I mean, but like, is there a point in there where there is some accountability, right? Like you married the guy, I mean, divorced the guy, like, yeah, I know, but like, right. Like, is there any there?
Totally. I made the wrong choice.
Sure. Which happens, right? Like, I don't think anybody's demonizing that, but it's like, we can correct that pretty easily. Like, I mean, it's like, oh, we can say, hey, we were wrong about this certain thing. Anyway, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like women working and not working. I was kind of just making a funny point, but we can go back to, but anyway, anyone at the panel that hasn't piped up yet about this, if you got something you want to chime in on, like, please, about like, if you can follow the conversation still. I know I tend to ramble. Catherine, go ahead.
Hey, so I understand the concept on both sides of like trying to not always date someone like above your number. However, let me explain how this doesn't always work, okay? Because there's been a couple times where I've dated men where I've genuinely tried dating down, okay? What ends up happening, or what the experience that I had with these men is, at first, like, they were stoked. They're like, hell yeah, like, she makes me like look like a better man, like oh, like what's going on with this guy that he's able to like bring a girl like her around, this, that, and the other thing. And I'll be very quiet about a lot of things because I understand that men have a lot of pride and they always want to kind of feel about like the superior person in a relationship. So I'll be quiet about my finances, this, that, and like the other thing. And I'll be like, yep, yes, honey. But then over time, what ends up happening, and this has happened twice now, and this happened in the previous relationship as well, is I start to feel like after a point, like the men, instead of liking me and loving me for who I am, they perhaps start to get insecure within themselves as a man, where like, so then they start the little like negging comments to kind of chip away at like your self-confidence. And so like what can happen sometimes with like women over the time is like we start to like lose ourselves, and like we're just literally trying to sometimes keep the peace in the relationship. And then like it turns to a certain point where like perhaps like the other person can start to be like abusive, like little things like as down to the like just comments to make up comments to spite a person, like, oh, you don't have a job, you just work. Okay, yeah, I don't go to a 9-to-5, but I strategically planned my life this way so I could have a lot more freedom, so where I'm not like having to just like run myself into the ground. And I just decided to do something from home, so if I ever find that person to have kids with in the future, like I'm not having to play like the tango of like I have to be out of the house from 9 to 5 like every single day, or like 40 hours a week. And so like that's the thing that starts to happen, where especially in like the last relationship, I was very private about my finances. And, you could tell the other party started being like, well, I just, women statistically are really bad with like finances. And I get this feeling that you're just horrific with your finances. Because I just kept quiet, and I got to a certain point where I just had enough. And I was like, okay, because I offered very early on in the relationship where I was like, let's compare tax returns. Nope, he didn't want to do it. And then I got to a point where I just sent him all 3 of my credit scores, where at that time it was only a 732. Boom. Like that did not like go over well with him.
Catherine, I have
back.
to stop. We're going to go all night doing this, I promise. Like, it's so funny to me. Like, every time we ask the ladies of the panel a question about, like, women out there, it always devolves in them talking about themselves.
Sorry,
Like,
but no, but okay, but
no,
my
I
point
know,
is,
but like you all
men
do
connect.
it. It's just funny. It's like
Yeah,
I think it's
it's my
endearing. I think it's
ADHD, I'm
funny. No, I think it's
sorry.
you all do it. It's fun. I think it's funny. It's just like something we like to
Yeah,
point
it
out.
makes for
I guess
great
I'm trying to switch
But
gears
they'll-
on
they'll
this. Like
bring
I
you
apologize
down,
for cutting
they'll
you
neg
off.
you.
Yeah, but one guy will. That is the guy that you dated. Like that's who we're talking about.
That's
here.
happened so many times where I've tried to date down, and then say if I
Well, I
try
want to get
date
to that.
someone-
See, here's my
Okay.
question. How do you know you're dating down? Because how do you determine what dating down is? Like how do you determine what your number is?
Okay, so
Or what
that's-
determines that
that's-
number? Is it even
Oh,
up
okay,
to
this
you?
is where it gets hard because again, like I can, you know me. You got on me one time where I'm like, I look at someone's like emotional intelligence, like they're spiritual, do they take care of themselves, do they eat healthy? Say maybe they don't aren't say maybe.
Hold
they
on.
don't
Let
make
me
as much
you gotta
money.
start. We gotta back up. My question
Okay.
is who or how or who determines what the number is? Do you get to determine what it is for yourself, or is it up to someone else?
I think it's up to someone else. It's a general consensus. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nobody that's a 3 walking around that people are telling them, no, you're really an 8. You're a
Absolutely,
7."
there are.
Everyone
Every single
knows you're
day,
a
I
3.
see it on Instagram. No,
They
I
know
see it
it.
every day. I see women that are like 400 pounds
They're
dancing
faking
and
it.
doing stupid. I know, but people are still telling them that they're a fucking 10. Like it's still
Right. I mean,
happening.
if you want to believe a lie, that
They're a 10 in those
But what's the
person's eyes.
difference?
there's
But what's the
something wrong.
difference? But what's the difference? If you're not telling people the truth, then what's the difference? And again, this is the point that I'm making. Okay, then we're going somewhere.
Hardly
with
anybody
this.
does tell the truth.
But I'm saying though, if I don't get to determine my value, then how do I know I'm dating down? Like, I mean, like, how do I know? Like, what if somebody out there thinks I'm a 6 or like I'm actually like, see where I'm going? Like, if we're determining our own value,
Oddly enough,
how do we know if we're dating down?
Oddly enough, a lot of men and women too, we think our value is less than what it actually is. Okay. Self-esteem is at an all-time low, right? So you're going to underbid yourself. Most people. And then there's the other half, that have great self-esteems and they know where they're at, right? But most men that I've dealt with, they do underbid themselves and they don't care. They still want the 9. They still want the 10, but they're basing their 9 and 10 off of looks alone, not off the total package of what the woman.
That's because that's how men are
brings
wired.
their
Like
life.
that's what I was saying earlier. Like
Right. They like shiny things.
we don't
I get it.
find, but like we naturally don't find like things that you've worked for or things that you've like sweated over or bled over, like degrees and like high paying jobs. Like we just don't care. It's not because we don't think those things are valuable. Like, but it's not like an attraction trigger. It's not something
But
that
they're attractive to us. Like they bring our number up. Not having a job, I don't know what I would do. Like having a job, having meaning and purpose in my life where I go to work every day and I'm making a difference, that does a lot for me. So that's
boosts
my
fine.
number up.
But you're not dating yourself. You're trying to get like you're an owner of a product, like you own a house and you're just arbitrarily setting the price of that house because you worked really hard, like on the paint job, and you put in some restoration that you worked really hard and some elbow grease. So like you attach
It's your
sentimental
typical
value
sweet
to it.
CMA. I'm looking
Yeah,
at
but
the
if the people aren't like, if they don't care about your backsplash and they think you did a poor job or that you shouldn't have ripped up the hardwood, like they're not going to buy the house, right? Like it's a buyer's, it's not a seller's market, right? Like that's all dating is.
I get it, but I guess what I'm trying to say is if you have 10 people, the majority of them are going to know what you are going to think that. You're going to have others that think something different, but you're going to have a majority vote on what your number is. Everybody has some sort of guesstimate on what that is.
Yeah, see, this is really common. So women a lot of times, right? Like they look at a man that's very successful, that has a good job, that makes a lot of money, that's very competent, right? And women find that very attractive. So then women assume, oh, that must be what makes me attractive too, to men. But it's really not the case. And what happens a lot of time is that like very successful women, like number one, they're not interested in less successful men than they are. So it like really narrows your pool. And also a lot of the men that are that successful are taken, married, have kids, etc. And number two, what it does is it attracts a bunch of men that like that you provide for yourself, right? So like the men who value a woman that's successful are men that want a woman that provides for herself. And there's a reason they want that, right? Because they don't want a woman they must provide for. So like this is what this often does to a lot of women as you get like up there in income, job status, in clout status, network popularity, whatever it may be, local fame. Like if you're a really successful realtor, right? Like your pool is tiny. And in your tiny pool, a lot of the men are taken and have children. And the ones that are like attractive still see you and they're like, great. She's not going to ever ask to move in with me. She's got her own place. She's got her own job. This can just be casual. It's not going to get super serious.
I want to switch to. Oh yeah, please. Yeah, if there's a response before I move on.
I mean, it's all 100% accurate. I mean, there's no I don't know. It's all correct.
I mean, obviously, if I wasn't single, I could argue that, but I am, so I can't necessarily argue that. But I mean, I don't know that I'll find a man that makes the money that I make. I mean, that's very rare, especially in my area. So I'm always going to be that, but I don't know that I would ask a man to move in together. My mind's not there, or whatever, but I certainly want him to still be the man, be the masculine, right? I mean, I don't want to be the man in any relationship. I want to be a woman, regardless of how much money I make. Money's not something I bring up ever in a relationship unless we're moving forward, because I think it's important to acknowledge it.
You're not sharing tax returns like Catherine?
No. No need to do any of that unless like he's the one, like, because I think it is important to tell a man, because some men do have a problem with it. So I think at that point it would be something to address, but that's not anything I'm talking about now.
Let me shift gears a little bit, drop it down a notch or two, talk about something a little more broad. We can go back to that kind of stuff. I want to get to Meeks Nicole, and because this is kind of like a spinoff of what Celine just said about, I still want the man to be masculine. Well, like you mentioned before the show, you're like the two things that maybe are red flags. It's like, guys that are not like, you want guys to be vulnerable and to not worry so much about like looking cool or looking like status in front of friends. Like, can you just go into that a little more?
Well, for me, I'm going to speak more from a cultural standpoint. So you start with music, right? With the rap music. So where I live, where I grew up, the men are heavily influenced by that music. So everybody know what I'm talking about. Your rap music where it's, my bitch this, my bitch that, right? So immediately off the bat, you calling your woman a bitch. Behind closed doors is probably not that, but in front of your friends to, play that role, it's that. So heavily influenced by music, you're treating your woman one way in front of your friends, and then when it's just y'all, you pillow talking, you being a different guy. So just be vulnerable to be that same guy in front of your friends.
I can't think of something I hate more. Let me do what I mean by that. Okay. Sorry. No, I don't mean I hate it. I just go like the stuff where, so just to kind of explain some of this stuff, like I understand where you're coming from. I think when you're like, okay, well, you're not being authentic, you're being fake, you act different around them than you act around me. But that's something that's not only like natural, it's something that I think is completely and utterly necessary, right? So if I act the way that I act around you with my friends, like I'm weak, I'm a bitch, I can't pull my own weight, like men are visceral and ruthless about the kind of guys they want in their circle and the kind of guys they would like go into battle with. Basically, they don't want dudes that are like all kissy on their girl and like simping. Like we hate when guys, when we see guys that are either in our group or formerly in our group do the simpy stuff, like it's like visceral. We want to like kick that guy out. We just can't stand it. So it's less about like, there's context for everything, right? So it's like you wouldn't want him to be as hardcore with you as he is with them, just like he can't be as soft with them as he is with you. Like it's perfectly like in the male essence to like puff his chest out and gain status among the other men for survival, but then to be soft and like nurturing and caring, or as much as he can be like with this woman. So it's like to us, we see it as like a perfectly natural thing. I don't know how that sits with you.
I would challenge that because it's all about your intentions behind it. If you're doing it exactly because you said you don't want to get clowned, it's one thing to do it because you want to look like, oh yeah, I'm in control of the situation. I'm in control of this bitch. Like she don't have me tied down. You don't gotta go over the top. I'm with you. You don't gotta be kissy doing the most. But then if you're doing it next level because you want to show like, oh, I'm in control of the situation, that's where you're fake and you're not being your authentic self. And also, sometimes it's a reflection of the friends that you keep. So if you feel like you gotta switch roles, that's a reflection of your friends, and maybe question that as well.
I guess what I find interesting, I get what you're saying, and I definitely think there are levels to it. Like, I think just as a fundamental, though, it's like a necessary, because again, we only do stuff to protect women and like to survive. Guys that act weak and guys that are not able to, even if they're just posturing, even if guys can't, because most guys can't actually fight. So like, even if they're aggressive enough to like throw another guy off, that guy's like, all right, I don't know if I can kick that guy's ass or not, but I don't want to try him. Versus a guy that is just like so easily killable, basically. Some guys can be like, yo, I could just take that guy's girl, right? So like him being puffy and chesty and bravado is like protecting his people and like protecting his circle kind of thing from other men, like the other apex predator, the only other apex predator. So like I get what you're saying, like there's levels to it, but at the same time, like it can be dangerous for guys to like show that stuff, especially around other men. It's just like, yeah, I mean, and I think what's interesting too is like the guys that are super openly kissy and like simpy for their women, they do it as a group, and they always are like balding, fat, out of shape guys that like can't really get women, or like the happy wife, happy life guys. The guys that actually kind of treat their women a little more, can we say misogynistically on the show? A little more with like that alpha tendency. Like they tend to be the more successful and attractive ones. So it's like, are women telling us what they like subconsciously, or is it like, what is that?
Again, I can only speak to, as I keep saying, culturally, what I'm exposed to. And you can have the, I don't like using the term fat. You can have the more overweight man, again, from in the hood. I just will speak to the hood. In the hood, that same guy, he's going to be acting the same way, treating the girl the same way that the in shape, fit looking guy is. So I don't know what it is for y'all, but for me, it's the same. It's no different. It's that posturing, being fake when behind closed door you're doing something else. So I hear what you're saying, that you got to protect, like you can't be a bitch around your friends. I get that. Again, if you're doing too much, it's how much of it are you really doing? Like,
what if it's the exact same? What if he's just the exact same and it's neither extreme? What if it's like, let me ask, I want to move on from this, but I'm curious. Like if you had to choose between these two, and maybe TC can chime in too, would you choose the guy that's like super soft with you behind closed doors and is like lovey-dovey, that gives you all the feels, and then super like alpha kind of guy in public and or around friends? Or would you have a guy that's like kind of soft, like middle of the road, kind of misogynistic, like, but he's like that all the time? He's like the perfect blend of medium. You never get his true soft side, but his true like alpha doesn't come out.
My preference, keep the misogynistic man away from me. That's just my preference. So I'll take the first guy.
Got to get to the suburbs for that one. Right. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to run a bunch of businesses in some pretty rough neighborhoods.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, Meeks, can you hear me still?
I can hear you, yes.
All right. You might have to go back and refresh and come back in. Sometimes like the audio cuts out, or just like refresh this and we'll drop you back on the stage.
Oh, okay.
We'll see in a second. Yeah, but go ahead, man.
No, we'll wait till she's back. Can you hear me now? Oh.
You might have to go. You might have to close it into your browser, Mix it. You might have to just close it and rejoin.
To do this a couple of times.
Yeah, it's like a StreamYard issue. If you can't figure it out, and if you want to have us like put you on next week, we can. I don't want it to be too much of a hassle, but we'd love to keep you on. I know sometimes on the phone it gets really buggy. We've had that problem the last couple of weeks. All right, let me at least mute her while we're trying to figure that out. If that'll work. Oh, hold on.
Any other ladies
There
had this
she's
where
back.
guys
She's
like
back in.
super soft in the bedroom, and then he's totally the opposite when he's around other people?
Yeah.
I missed the
So is that
question.
preferable to the rest of the ladies? Like, because I'm curious about that, right? If you had a choice, I want to go around the panel. Like, if you had a choice between the two, like, he's the perfect guy you want behind closed doors, but he's like an asshole in public, or he's just like 50-50, lukewarm, like middle of the road guy all the time in both situations. Anybody can go. I don't care.
I'd prefer middle of the road.
So just like never really get that like soft side that you really always just kind of like, you don't think you would necessarily want more? You're not like a lover girl, Carrie? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I think the lover girl in me has been murdered brutally, and I'm trying to re-energize her a little bit. Yeah, so
Why are you just now saying something? Oh my, been on for half an hour. All right, please continue.
No, my past with men has been very rocky, and I find that the man that is maybe lovey-dovey in the bedroom and then hyper aggressive everywhere else is either DL or just like a complete asshole, and neither one is something that I'm very keen on. So I take the middle.
I don't know the acronyms. Am I supposed
I
to
don't
know
know it
these
either.
acronyms?
What's
Yes.
DL?
Ugh.
DL is the men that are like, I'm so straight, but
Yep.
like in the closet.
Actually gay.
On the down
okay, I got it. I understand. Okay, I got it.
And
Yeah.
to be hyper aggressive, and so I
Yep.
just would take the middle of the road man any day.
Well, let's talk about your lover girl homicide. What happened there? Because you're the only one on the panel, from what I understand, that's in a relationship, and you said 3+ years. So that's
Yes.
pretty good.
Yeah, so I've healed a lot. I realized that the reason I was experiencing the same thing in different men was that I was allowing the cycles to keep repeating. And so I worked on that and figured out the different nuances I need to avoid, and what works for me and what doesn't. And I'm trying to clearly communicate in my relationship now, and I find that that's the best way to do it.
This tends to come up almost every week, but I think it's fine because I like to get an opinion on this. Like, would you say, how much would you say, like, so a relationship 3+ years is long enough for you to adopt some of this man's like hobbies and interests, maybe political leanings, music? Like, how much of that is taking place, if at all?
Well, we have a lot in common, and so I feel like there was a natural blending. When we first started dating, we like gravitated towards the fact that we both love mushrooms and we love foraging and we love nature, we love animals. And then we started sharing music, and we realized that we had similar music tastes that like other people don't know. So it was very niche. And so that's why I think like being your authentic self is the best way, because it might take some time, but you will find the person that matches you, right? And it just kind of feels natural. I've heard before like the thing of you shouldn't actually feel the butterflies in your stomach because that's your body telling you to run the other direction. And I think that's kind of true. I think you should feel safe when you're with a person, even meeting them the first time. It shouldn't be this big anxious event. It should feel comfortable. So
I got a question for you. So imagine you're 22. Imagine you are in your 22-year-old body and brain, and you meet the man you're currently with. Do you think you would date him?
I actually wish I had met him sooner, but I've said before that like I definitely needed to heal certain aspects of me, because I was a different person at 22. But I think it would have made the relationship easier for the both of us if I didn't experience all those traumas in between that time. So yeah, I think I would have, and it would have been easier than it is now. I'm in my man-hater era, and he is the one man I'm not man-hating at the moment. So
So you think you would have still been drawn to him
I think
instead
so.
of a different type of guy that maybe you were drawn to more when you were 22?
I don't think so, because I was always very much about like what I had in common with a person. The problem I find is similar to like what Meek said, where people like put on this presentation in the beginning of like, this is how I am. And then you find out later on in the relationship that that's not who they are. Those aren't the things they like. And it causes tension because you're like, well, we used to do these things, but now you hate them. And like, when did that happen? Kind of thing.
So is it just
When did-
blind? I gotta ask this really quick. Hold on to that, please, for me. Like, so is it just like blind luck then? Because like the thing is, what we're trying to get at is like we think. I will speak for myself. Like, I think generally the kind of guy you're attracted to at 22 is far different than the guy you're attracted to now, or that you've been through what you've been through. Otherwise, you just would have picked that guy in the first place. Like, if you were equal, if you would have picked him now and then, what was the missing piece? Like, did you just not? It was like what you see what I'm saying? Like, what was the difference between how did you end up with the other guy and not this guy if it wasn't a means of like I would have already gone for him? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't you?
Yeah. So I do think it is a thing of like right place, right time, right person, right place, right time, that kind of thing. Because we grew up in the same sort of area and we never met. And I'm like a firm believer in like the universe just does what she needs to for your life. And so maybe we both had more growing up to do, which is why we didn't meet sooner. And maybe that's the case with other people. You go through the relationships until you learn to break the cycle. And when you do, then you end up finding someone who's better. You maybe have to learn to break a different cycle, but you each time better yourself.
When did you discover your love for mushrooms and foraging and outdoors and animals?
Oh my gosh.
Around
So
what age do you think?
when I was an infant, because I actually grew up in quite a large household. I had 4 siblings, and we were like not rich. So I was also like the black sheep of the family. I was the 4th child, the 3rd daughter. So I was just kind of like, you know, like in the way. So I would go out into nature to like escape. I would run away from home and go into the bushes. And the animals were like my sanctuary because they would show love. So from a very early age. And as for the mushrooms, I fell in love with them for some reason in like 2016. And I have no idea why. I fell down the mushroom wormhole, learned about cordyceps, and just was like head over heels with everything to do with mushrooms.
Well, so this is what I was kind of trying to get at. It's like you needed to heal or find yourself or figure out some stuff about yourself. But then you kind of ended up with a man that's like the things you've always liked. Right.
That's why
so is what you needed to figure out like, oh, these men were bad for me. I need to date a man that's like this.
I mean, essentially, yeah. It's like, hey, if a man lays hands on you, he's not a good man. So whereas I would be like, oh, you know, he didn't mean it because he was nice to me the next day and he apologized, you know, that kind of thing. So I had to break that cycle and be like, no, if a man lays hands on you, he doesn't like you, period. And then just move on from that.
This is something I've been starting to realize more and more as we talk to more and more women that are healing or trying to find themselves or trying to be single for a while and figure it out. To me, what it looks like a lot of times is like you need time or like drama to figure out to not date men that like your father should have told you not to date to begin with. Like you need time to figure out the guidance your dad should have been there next to you giving throughout the process.
Right. To be honest, I find that most of the women are repeating traumas they experienced from their father. I have a degree in psychology as well, so I am very big into that whole topic of we repeat the cycles we learned as children and we look for partners that are similar to the parent that traumatized us the most as children until we learn to heal those.
I think any woman that has a not great father is probably not getting advice, like protective and guidance advice from their father, right?
Right. Yeah, and you learn.
That being said, like they still bear some responsibility, right? Like we can't just endlessly pass the buck. Like it's like, yeah, okay. It's like if we've got shit that's gone on or absent father, because like, you know, we deal with women like that. We deal with a ton of women like that, right? We see a lot of women on this show, and I don't know I don't like the term like daddy issues. I don't really like using it because I don't think it makes, you know, a lot of sense. But they're really pretty big indicators of like their respect for men growing up and things like that. So it's like, but a lot of women, they just say it as, well, this happened to me. Like my dad was a deadbeat. He walked out. He did X, Y, Z. So therefore, like you have to accept me how I am. And like, it's really tough to find a dude that way when you're unwilling to like work on yourself. And I'm not saying you did it. I'm just saying in general, like a lot of women are refusing to do that because it's like, here I am, just accept me. Like, what do you think about that?
I'm a firm believer in both sides need to heal themselves. I think therapy is for everyone, right? Like everyone has something to heal. Listen, there's a form of therapy for everyone. I promise you. There really is.
Oh, yeah, but like we don't call it therapy, right? Like therapy's therapy. Like we know we talk about therapy, like we're talking about like talk therapy, right? So like if I don't call shooting guns therapy, I just call it shooting guns. I don't call it MMA therapy. I call it MMA. I call therapy, right? So like, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. But I do think that talk therapy is helpful for people to get past the trauma, because I think a lot of people they can't see from their own perspective. They can't step out of their own body to see their participation in the event, right? And I was doing that in my relationships. I wasn't able to step outside and be like, well, I stuck in the relationship. I stayed with them. I kept getting back with them. I would forgive them. And when I started doing that, I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to deal with this anymore because I'm perpetuating the cycle. So that's the only thing. If you can realize it without therapy, then that's fabulous. But I do think a lot of people lack the introspection.
Yeah, just go on a foraging trip and have an experience much better than therapy.
Honestly, I'm a firm believer. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on the podcast, but shrooms heal all. Shrooms are medicine.
We just got demonetized. We just got kicked off YouTube. The stream will end in 30 seconds. Ladies, really quick. We got, because I want to. There's two people we still haven't heard from yet, and we're in like 40 minutes, like almost 50 minutes. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to go around and ask all the ladies this. Do you have a man that you rely on for masculine guidance in your dating endeavors or not? And or if you don't now, did you before? And how has that gone or been going?
I want to specifically start with Ivana first and then Rachel, because we haven't heard from you as much. So I want you all to make sure you get some time to chime in.
So I do have a friend of mine that I go to from time to time. I can't say it's all of the time for dating advice, but whenever it gets to like something big, I do always come to him, and vice versa. He always comes to me as well when he has something that's happening big with one of his girlfriends or what have you.
Okay, no,
what kind of friend? Like, are we exes? He's like a brother to me.
He's been like a brother, basically, like a college friend. I actually was trying to hook him up with my best friend because they would have been so good, but whatever. She just never wanted to. But we we were never anything more than literally just friends. But
why not? I see the ick on your face.
The what?
I see the ew on your face thinking about that.
He just not my type. He was younger. I just think he was good for her. So
do you think if you gave him a chance, he would take you up on that?
Maybe. Not sure.
Do you ever,
did you? Not him, not this one. I've got the guys 100%. Where I know some of them, yes, they would take that
all
chance.
do.
But this one, I'm like, I don't think so.
They all want you.
They'll wait forever.
Not they all want me.
Have you ever had a guy you were with have a problem with your relationship with this guy?
No. But I have had a guy I was with have a problem with a relationship with another friend. So
yeah, so maybe he does give off those big little just brother vibes.
Dork vibe, yeah, that doesn't even stand a chance. Right? See, he doesn't puff his chest out. That's what happens. Doesn't get taken seriously. Rachel, what about you?
Maybe I don't any relationship advice, I don't go to like a guy friend for it. And like, I mean, I'm not really looking for relationship advice right now.
I'm more so talking about like your father, your uncle, grandfather.
Masculine guidance in general, like from a male perspective, like going through life.
Well, I've seen a whole bunch of like psychology things, and it makes perfect sense. I'm the oldest daughter. Like, I'm closest with my dad. Like, my dad like raised me. I grew up on a farm, and my dad made me do like farm work. Like, I was always like by my dad's side. He taught me how to cook. Like, my dad was like my guidance, I guess. And like, I've realized too, like, it's not just my dad, it's my mom's dad. Like, my grandpa was like my go-to. So I've always had like male role models that I like just, I don't know, click with. Like, they're just there. And also, I have one sister. I don't have any brothers, but I have 4 cousins. They're all older men, successful, smart, funny. So that's like my role models.
So do you or did you lean on them like for making decisions about men you dated?
No, I felt comfortable making like my own choices, and like I'm a fiercely independent person. So like if I want something, I'm going to go do it. I'm not going to ask anyone else's opinion. That's just kind of how I am.
Even your dad.
Yeah, I never asked my dad. My dad is very like quiet and like kept to himself.
God.
Like I would never.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to get at, I think, right? Well, that's kind of like, does he tell you no? Like, there's a lot of dad, like, and we see these dads a lot, especially dads with girls, like they are just smitten with their princess, right?
My
And
dad
instead
has
of
never told me
and,
no.
and instead of saying
no.
no, but it like, is it a commonplace thing? I'm not saying like, oh, I remember one time when I was 12, we couldn't get ice cream. I'm talking about like, he would say, this is going to mess you up in the future. I have to save your dumbass from yourself because you don't know anything. Like, you can't be made to like maybe when you're younger and like adolescence, but like even now, just like, I need to protect you from the world. So I need, like, you won't understand this, but I need to tell you no. You won't get it, but you need to listen to me because I'm your dad. Like, that stuff never took place.
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
Well, this is what I was kind of getting at, right?
But at the same time, like,
go ahead.
It was kind of like there's something like free, like maybe he had enough confidence that like he raised me the right way. Like, you get to make your own decisions. Like, you have to like kind of grow up and like figure it out yourself. And like, I'm very much like a figure it out yourself kind of person. Like, maybe it's that, I don't know, but there was never like, no, like, don't do that. Like, you're going to like screw up your life. I don't know.
Yeah, this is kind of where I'm getting a bit with the question is, like, if you brought a man home that he thought maybe wasn't a great man for you to date, would he tell you no? Like, would he tell you don't date him, stop seeing him?
Denise, cut in real quick.
Yeah, this is the most interesting question I think I've ever heard, because I've always tried to figure out why I did things the way I did, because my dad was so focused. He said no to so many things. Like, you can't wear that. I don't want a guy looking at you like that. I don't want you in this environment. Like, I don't want like you in that situation. But it was almost like I was the enemy. I wasn't the princess. He just was so focused on me. I think this was his number one focus. Not getting pregnant before I was married. And then the guy I brought home, the first guy that I dated for more than 6 months, he's like, get married to him. So I've never, like, I have respect for my dad. He's definitely very masculine. Told me what to do growing up. Like, if I was late 1 minute for curfew, I couldn't go out for the whole next month. So like, he was very protective of me. But then at the same time, he was not interested in the men I was dating. Like,
very strange.
Very strange.
Super strange.
Like I
Yeah.
never came to him and
Like
said,
my mom was that role. My mom
yes,
would
my
like
mom
yell at
was
me,
that role.
"You're not allowed to wear that. You're not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to do that. You
Yeah,
don't
but
do
that's for a
that."
different reason, right? Like women are far more concerned with that because it's like their daughters are a reflection of them. And like women don't want to have like the town broads talking all this shit saying like you're going out in like panties and stuff. Like they don't want to, it's about the gossip. Like men are trying to protect you from like
That's my
prey and
dad.
predators and
My dad
men.
was so worried. My dad was
It's
so
completely
worried about
different.
his image.
Yeah,
Like,
it's super interesting. Like that really is odd because it's like normally Denise, where I actually thought you were going with this is that he was super strict, and so you did with what a lot of women do, which is like rebel. Like every like preacher's daughter just runs off to like be right. Like we all know that story and that trope, but then it's like, you know, it's definitely got to be a tightrope for.
yeah.
Again.
I honestly never had a serious boyfriend. My husband was my
Yeah.
first serious boyfriend. And like I was 26 when I got married.
Yeah.
But he literally like just let me marry this dude who, if you looked at his family, where he came from.
Did you ever talk to him about this? You ever ask him like why he was so involved with everything else, but not the love life?
This is the most interesting question because I never could like formulate in my head, like, how did he let me marry this person?
Well, I think what you'll find, I
What?
don't think you're gonna be able to draw it out of him.
Oh, I wouldn't, but
And like not to talk shit about your dad, but what it sounds like, kind of like Moff was talking about how mothers are very concerned with their image and like the image of their family. It sounds like he was much more concerned with his image than like who you're gonna like. His image was more important than protecting his daughter.
well, he was an elder at the church, so he wanted to make sure.
Oh, big time then, yeah.
He had 3 girls.
It's all reputation. It's all that is in the church. Yeah.
And we talked about purity, like from the age of 8 to like 26. I mean, they still talk about me not like meeting men and going like, yeah, huge. It was a huge conversation.
Are we continuing with the question? We're going on down.
Yeah, other ladies, let's hear. Do you have a man to rely on with your dating prospects to give you advice and guidance?
I did until my dad passed away. I did. Yeah, I would go to him and talk to him. I mean, I'm probably older than everybody, I think, on the panel. So when I was younger, yeah. And then when
would he tell you not to date men that were bad for you, though?
Yeah. I mean,
would you listen?
Not at all. No.
I kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
I was the kid that if you told me not to do something, it was the next thing that I did. I say the kid, I still do that. I mean, I am not good with authority or like bowing down or just doing what I'm told. If somebody's telling me to do something, I just naturally want to do the opposite. It's like an itch. And until I do it, I can't focus. I have to do it.
Yeah, women are like children. Y'all are like little kids. That's all you want to do. Like we say it, but it's like true. You guys just want to push boundaries and like stick your fucking forks in like electric sockets and shit. Just because we say not to. Stove's hot, but we need to touch it. But no, what I was going to say is like, I think it's really interesting and I think it's tough. And maybe this is something I don't think maybe gets talked about enough, especially with parenting. I don't have kids, but it's got to be a tightrope to walk where it's like, you need to be the authoritative leader in the household and tell your kids no. And then they'll grow up resenting you because you didn't explain it to them, but they might not have explained it to them because you're a kid and you can't even understand why, right? So it's like this never-ending game of like, my parents didn't explain to me enough, but your parents are like, well, you're dumb. You wouldn't have got it anyway. So it's a waste of time. And also I need to be the authority. It's got to be tough, man, especially for dads. Cause I think dads are scrutinized now more than even ever before. And it's like, at the same time, it's like, we've never needed them less, I guess. So that's what seems to be kind of mainstream, but I don't know. It's kind of weird to see that be where we are right now.
Catherine.
Hi. So for the longest time, I always went to my grandpa for everything. Just because he was a really, really, really phenomenal man. Good family man, good husband. He was just a great man. And then, because I'm very selective of who I take life advice from. You know, like if I want to get better in fitness, I'm going to probably go to someone who's very educated in that. They live that life, you could tell. And my grandparents had that, you know, because they got married after 2 months, you know, they helped each other get through school. They were well traveled, and, you know, they still had lifelong friendships. Unfortunately, though, both my grandparents have passed. But so sometimes now what I'll do is, because on their day of passing or say their birthdays, I'll go out to lunch or dinner with their best friends just to kind of like keep like their spirit alive. And so they're women. But at this moment in time, it's a little bit more tricky because I know that I can't necessarily go to perhaps like male friendships that I've had early on in life because I feel like they give a little bit of distorted advice. So I try not to venture out and do that too much. But if anything, yeah, when I have those moments when I just kind of pray on it and just think of like, would my grandparents like this individual? Because I do feel like they gave a really solid frame of reference. I could go to my dad, but unfortunately, you know, I grew up out in a very small town and now I live out in the city. And so it's very hard for my dad and I to see eye to eye with a lot of things because he'll just simply be like, well, just move back to the countryside. You'll just be a little country bumpkin. And I'm like, I wouldn't be happy with that life with who I am today. And so it can be tough, but I do think it is very important for women to have some sort of male figure in their life to just kind of be like, hey, what are your thoughts on this situation? Or maybe going to a couple that is married that like you look at their marriage and, you know, if they have kids and like, hey, what are your guys' thoughts on this? And it's always important to just kind of go to the source of someone lives their life in a way that you were like, I would die to have that, you know, because yeah, that's why. Okay, I'm done.
Well, and what's so tricky, and this kind of goes back to what Ivana was saying, you know, the man that she kind of leans on when she's got a relationship problem is not significantly more experienced in life than the men she's probably dating. Same thing, like if you're going to another married couple, they're your peers, right? Like that woman or that man isn't more experienced in life probably than the man you're dating. So how is he going to be able to suss that man out for you, right? And this is kind of what it ends up becoming from what I've seen is all women, they want a man that's better than them. Women cannot date down. We talked about this a little bit on the show tonight, but like women cannot date down. He's got to be better than you. And if he's better than you, if he's attractive, if he's charismatic, you know, all these things, he's going to be able to run game on you and manipulate you better than you can identify it. So like you need a man that one is motivated to protect you, which like basically no man is. They all want to sleep with you. And two, has more life experience than the guy you're dating, can suss him out. So like father, grandfather, uncle.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm in a pickle now, so it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, you've always got us, so we'll build an app. We're gonna build an app,
thanks,
and we're gonna have all the
gentlemen.
ladies' nights. We're gonna have all
boy.
TFPOVs on.
Oh,
We're gonna find you all. We're gonna
yeah,
find you
there you go.
matches. Yeah, it's like $1,000. It's only $1,000 a month though. Women have to pay $1,000 a month.
No.
Men get it for free. That's the only catch.
$1,000.
We'll see how
Damn.
much you want. We'll see how much you want. Love.
That's out of pocket.
Will you lead? Will
Yeah.
you lead with your
I-
I'll
wall?
say single.
I'm so content right now. Like I'm good.
I know. So you curl up with your blanket. I can tell. I want to go back to
I have
Rachel.
the sand out my window. I'm doing good.
I got to go back to Rachel because Rachel, you did something that I've literally never seen in all my years.
I can't believe
You
you've
had a
never seen
party.
it.
You had a party, and it wasn't just a party. It was a divorce party, and there was a dress, and there was a cake, and there were banners, and there were a lot of people. It was like a week's worth of content. It was actually pretty impressive. Now,
I
You guys
dressed
said
right
you
here.
were-
I'm dressed in a survive the night. I
good
have it
Lord,
right
she
here.
brought it. Yeah,
Here.
I'm surprised it's not behind a pane of glass. You said you guys were married for 8 years, but you were together for 14. So you guys met in college or like high school? How did that go?
College, yeah. I was 19. He was 25. He's 5 years older than me.
Oh, he was already out of college and you were in college.
Yeah.
Got it.
We're
Okay.
from the same hometown. We met lifeguarding. stayed in touch while I was in college, and then like dated when I was in college. And then as soon as I graduated college, I just moved right in with him, and that's that. And we just continued until we didn't.
What was the ultimate like deal breaker? What was like the final straw? I'm sure like it's a 14-year relationship, right? So you can't sum it up. But what was like the moment you knew like this was done?
Yeah, it's really hard to pinpoint it into one thing, but it just comes down to like lifestyle. Like, I want to go travel, see the world, and he was
Did you have like
totally
one click moment though? Like it's some amount of years in, where just like the first time you ever realized in your head, you're like, holy shit, this is done. Did that ever happen, or it was just a very, very slow, gradual thing?
Well, the holy shit, it was done happened like when we were already in talks. Like, this isn't working. Like, this isn't working was
Yeah.
going on for like at least a year, and we did try and like work on it together. But I think like we
Was there a
both
time where
realized.
you thought it was done and he was still like fighting for it? He thought it was still like had a chance, or maybe he didn't even, you were done and he was still like, everything's cool.
I don't know. I think it kind of like ebbed and flowed a little bit, because like there was
Yeah.
some things where I was like, oh my God, I don't know how I can do this. But I was like so committed. I was like, I'm married. Like, I made this commitment. A lot of it was like, I made this commitment to myself. Like, I really wanted to be married. I really wanted it to like work out. Like, you know, we saw both of our grandparents. Like, I forget when his grandparents met, but my grandparents met in high school, and like they've been married forever. My grandfather passed away. My grandma is still alive, but like, you know, we saw those relationships and we're like, okay, we're married. Like, we're going to be married forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, we both kind of had that like struggle where we saw like our grandparents and we're like, we're committed, we want to do this, but like life and society are just so
But you
different
said it
these
was
days.
lifestyle things, like specifically lifestyle stuff. So like what kind of things because like when I hear lifestyle stuff, I think things like, oh, he like left the toilet seat up, right? Or like, oh, he was like, that's his underwear. And like, this is a real thing that women complain about. He like didn't put his socks in the hamper, which we can talk about that. But like,
Yeah, no,
what
I
was
mean,
kind of
those
like the
things
lifestyle
happen,
stuff?
but like at the end of the day, like if that is what breaks your relationship, like your relationship wasn't strong enough to begin with. No, like he, like you said earlier, no hobbies, no friends, sat and played video games all day. And you know, I'm like a motivated person. I'm like, go, go, go. Like, I want to travel. I want to go do things. Like, I was the travel planner. I was the travel coordinator. And then it got to the point, like, not got to the point, but it was always like, oh, I want to go to this place. Oh, well, that's too far of a drive. And then it, you know, it wore on me. Like, okay, I can't live my life like not doing something because the drive is too far.
Was he like that from the beginning and then just
No.
continued throughout, or he was started up here and then slowly like decreased?
It was definitely
slowly
started up here
deteriorated.
and went down. But at the same time, like we dated when we were so young. Like when I was 19, I couldn't be
Yeah.
like, oh, let me like go on a vacation to Thailand when I'm 19. You know, I didn't have the means to do it. So it's not like
Right.
that came up in conversation when I was 19. Now that I can like travel wherever I want to, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a different conversation now.
Have you even thought yet if you want to get married again and like have kids?
My like only struggle is like the kids thing, because like I always wanted to have kids, but in that that was a big deal breaker too. Like my body told me I cannot have kids with this man. And like I always wanted to have kids. Like I have these younger cousins. I'm the fun aunt. Like my friends have kids, and like my friends' kids are obsessed with me. Like I love kids. I teach swim lessons on Sundays. I love these kids. Like I'm a kids person, but I never felt comfortable like getting ready to have kids with him. And eventually I was like, okay, like your body has been telling you this. Like I would be crying in the showers, like so frustrated sometimes. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I cannot have kids with this man. And maybe that was the deal breaker, you know? But yeah, like, I don't know. Like my body just said, like, you cannot have kids.
I
So
get where you're
my
coming from,
perspective
yeah.
is like totally changed now. Like I always want to have kids, but I'm just like, you know, if it comes down to and I want to do it, like I will just be a single mom. Like I'll adopt, I'll like figure it out. Like that's
Oh,
just where I'm
no.
at. Like if I
I
wanna
know
have
you
kids,
had to go.
I'll
I
do
have
it.
to come back to that. I can't go down that rabbit hole, but we're gonna
Oh
come back to
no,
it.
come back
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
we have
Okay.
to. So like, I want to just see like if anyone want to chime in on this, like if they've experienced something, because this is something we see and hear a lot. Like we call it betatization through 1,000 concessions, or it's like a guy gets into a relationship if he's sort of in this old school, old world, like rom-com Disney bullshit conditioning where guys, we only ever see the end of the movie where the guy and the girl to get together. Then the camera stops rolling. So growing up, guys are just like, oh, okay, like get the house, get the girl, get the fence, get the kids, get the dog. I'm set. I'm just chilling for the next 60 years. They don't show all the bullshit that comes after that. So that's a thing that a lot of guys do. They just slowly deteriorate over time. And women are actually the opposite, right? Like you guys always want more. Like you're never satisfied. Like you like, oh, our first date, we had a candle at dinner. All right. On the next second one, there better be a string quartet. Like, how are you going to always do one better? Which is fine. We don't blame you for it. It's cool. But like, who's got experience with that? Or who's got a personal story? Maybe because you're all old enough to have been in at least, you know, a long-term relationship or two. So like, is that a common thing that you've, any of you've seen?
I just know a lot of older men who the challenge is that they got married young. So we are conditioned in society like, oh, you go to college, you find your person, you get married, you have the spouse, the house, the kids, the dog, and you're doing all that before 30, right? So by the time, so that's all your 20s that passed. By the time you're in your 30s, you realize you're miserable because it's nothing else. There's no more spark. There's nothing to ascribe to. So my experience knowing older men is that they're not happy. They're not happy anymore. And you do experience more cheating because you feel like you wasted your good years doing the things, settling down, doing all that. You find yourself in your 40s and you're like, I want to explore all over again. So yeah, just doing all the things I think makes men, I know you said women, we're never satisfied, but men are rarely satisfied, especially in today's time with social media. It's easier to see more and more women every day. So you realize, dang, she is better than my wife. And I've been with my wife since I was 21. So let me see what this is about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go on my TC. I'm going to get on my TC like soapbox here for a second. This is why like everything's just a result of things being too comfortable now. Like men are like actually in reality, people are getting married later now than they ever have in the history of marriage. Like people used to get married when they were teenagers and then they stayed together forever. Like they never got divorced, but that's also because like the man had to go work in the fields for 12 hours and didn't have time to go chase ass or like swipe on Tinder, right? Like it's too comfortable now. So, I mean, this is just kind of like where we're at. So like, I get it. Yeah. I think it's less maybe of a symptom of age, which makes sense, but it's also because like, yeah, guys in their 30s, like they're bored now, right? It's like, wait, I don't have like a go war to go fight. But I think that's more of because guys are just lacking purpose. And this goes back to, you know, not having strong masculine role models around because it's not always just women, it's guys too. So, yeah. Who else? Anybody else dealt with that? Like had a relationship or seen it where it's like just slowly deteriorated over time? No, not really. Then what are y'all breaking up over with people for? Like, why isn't it working out then? Like, if they're not getting worse over time, what behavior or what's changing between like I'm dating this guy and then like 2 years later we're breaking up? Like, what actually changes?
They're dodging hands, man.
Men will send their representative. That's if you ever watch any of divorce court. That's the classic line. Men, y'all send your representatives, right? And so for the first year,
Are we all though? Everybody doing that?
I think it's both sides. But you're asking the question to us women for us to respond about men. But I do think that it's both sides. Sending a representative for the first year, and then once that year passes, now you're starting to see the facade is breaking down, and it's like, damn, like you got some issues, you got some traumas you haven't processed, and that's why it's not always about deterioration as much as it is you're seeing the real person and their traumas and you're not liking it.
I guess the problem I have with that is that on one hand, men are big, dumb, knuckle dragging cavemen troglodytes that are just slaves to their physical impulses and can't keep their dicks in their pants. But on the other hand, they're these mastermind manipulator spies that can trick women for a year before their like true self finally comes down. Like, are men big dumb idiots, or are they like master manipulators? It's like it's always it's kind of whatever's convenient, it seems. Like, I don't know. Denise, please.
I don't think men are master manipulators. I think women don't listen to their intuition.
Yes.
Go on.
I can speak to that.
I will tell you, I should have, like, we're going to talk about this guy, my ex-husband. I knew I shouldn't have married him. And I could see like all these things. And even like, I think I told you guys on the last show, he went to federal prison, like 6 years into our marriage. I stayed with him. I took our kids to see him in prison, stayed with him. I thought he had changed, but like in the back of my mind, I always knew he was always going to be this person. So they're not master manipulators. We just decide to ignore it because we just want to live comfortably and continue without like confronting what it's. So like he would say, like, I was blindsided. She wanted to get a divorce. Well, what? Like, I knew this whole time. I just never confronted him and said, why are you still doing this? Why are you still doing that? Like, I never looked through his phone. I didn't want to live in reality. I just wanted to ignore it.
Like, I've literally been having this thought. I think I even had it today, like in the car. There's some like crazy thing that like being in a relationship or like liking a guy or something, like it totally like gets rid of your intuition or it like makes you like question yourself or something. Like after getting divorced, I'm like, okay, like now I know the signs that my body was giving me. And I like, I have really good intuition and I know it. And I'm like really trying to tell myself, like, don't ignore it now. And there's situations like recent dating things where like, I want to like this guy, I want to do a thing. And I'm like, no, your intuition is like telling you like, that's not right. But I still pursue it because it's fun. And I want to do these fun dating things, but I know in the back of my mind what it is. And I'm like, okay, like stop lying to yourself. Like,
no.
Yeah.
I think it's like in my recent last relationship, if we can even call it that, it was only 3 months. I just was bored being single and I was ready to be in a relationship. And I guess, you know, if I'm being honest, it just didn't matter. He was in the right place at the right time. And I was intrigued. He was so tall, right? You know, and he was good looking. And so it was like, wow, neat. I'm going to date him. And so I didn't really care about anything else about him. I wasn't thinking in that space long term. But even when my mind would go to potentially being long term, I wasn't thinking about the bigger picture, like who he was. And it wasn't until, you know, I guess 3rd month, you know, when we broke up, things that he showed about himself that I was paying attention to. He ended up being a racist, big time. I had no idea. You know, and was very against some of the things that I stood for. Like we voted differently. It very much bothered him. We just weren't aligned. So, you know, I ended it very quickly. But I do think that speaks to how I handle or handled getting with somebody. It's just I'm bored, you know, I always say like, and it's the smaller part of the picture. Like I want to have fun. So I'll see something that is fun and I'll go for it, not thinking about the bigger picture. And then I realize, holy crap, you know, this isn't going to work. And then it's over. Like I don't really second guess myself at that point when I see somebody who they really are, but I'm not really paying attention in the beginning either.
See, I think women have horrible intuition with men. It's like the amount of women,
the worst. Y'all are
the
terrible.
amount of women that I talk to, and we're like, oh yeah, my ex or my baby dad, whatever, he used to beat the shit out of me. And I'm like, what's his first and last name? He has 5 fucking felonies. Of course he beat the shit out of you. What are you talking about?
She goes, I said he used to.
Hello.
The dating stuff
Like, hello.
intuition and
we're going to change him.
And we
It's going to
Yeah,
be
so-
fun.
Delusion. The delusion.
Let me
That's the delusion.
please chime in here. I feel like I've got some good stuff.
Oh Lord.
Okay. Rude.
They're ready.
Rude. Okay, so I always tell my female friends, and then I always tell my male friends as well. where I'm like, pay attention when you first start dating someone, because like before you become intimate with them, like your mind is typically way more clear, and you're able, like, you're not as blinded by like red flags, and like you're able to just have a clearer head and be like more articulate. And I explain to people too, where sometimes it's not always about chemistry, because it's like, you do look at the studies, it's a lot like the most successful relationships are heavily based on compatibility. Yes, of course, you need both. But like how I believe it was Denise mentioned earlier, where if you're feeling the butterflies, that's a bit of like your like sympathetic like nervous system being like, I should probably run. And working in therapy, they kind of explained where in relationships, you don't want the highs and lows all the time, because that also kind of goes off the chemicals of your brain, where it can be like a little bit of like an addiction, where like you go through like the high, then you go through the crash, and then like you're like down there, and then like you're craving back like the good times, like you're fiending for the things. And like that's why sometimes people build like trauma bonds and keep going back to the same person. So I always suggest to my friends where I'm like, wait a little bit to be intimate, because then it's going to be way more rewarding as well, versus I've had so many friends that jumped into oh, you shake your head, I don't like you. But yeah, no, I have friends that I'm like, you shouldn't have had intimate with that man. Now you have to share a child, and you should have just been smarter instead of just thinking with your lady parts. And so that's your fault, and I don't know how to empathize.
Well, so this is kind of what I was talking about with women's intuition. Like what you described, this roller coaster, this is what women's intuition really craves. So like what you're explaining is like women fighting their nature for what they're looking for in a man, right? So I agree. You want to find a guy that's going to take you serious and commit to you and be kind
stability.
and communicate. You must fight your nature, but that's going to be very difficult. That's why you default to your father.
I have a really great relationship with my dad. I feel like my dad raised a wonderful young woman as well as my grandpa. So thanks, Daddy.
Well, also I'll say this, like that might be, I think just making like, I don't know. I guess the thing you said about the stuff with the brain chemistry, yeah, that makes sense. It turns it on for women and it turns it off for men. Like men are the only ones that are really blinded to whether they like a girl or not until you guys have had sex, right? Like that women, like I tell this to guys all the time. They yell at me. I tell this to women too. Y'all all yell at me about this, but I truly believe like oxytocin and like the love bombing and the love connecting chemical is really the only chemical that men and women are connected by. It's really the only reason we interact with each other, right? We don't really have a lot of use for each other outside of that. We've never been friendly. We've never been like peer groups. We've never had to go through nature, working together, like to contribute in survival. We've always been separate from one another, except for one thing, and that's like sex and reproduction. So all of that being said, like a guy who's not attracted to you, or at least doesn't want to sleep with you, like has no use for you and you're invisible to him. At the same time, a guy that hasn't slept with you yet has no idea if he actually likes you or would take you seriously until that happens. He thinks that you're like really smart and really funny and like super confident and like a boss babe and all that shit. But like in reality, he just is like, I want to sleep with this woman. This is like my manly, natural drive to get laid. After he's like, okay, like now my clarity has set in. Is this girl fun to be around?
Right, I understand, but I have to have like some, because I can talk with men as well. Sometimes I'll want to like shake these male dynamics, and I'm like, why are you with her? And then I'll be like, she's literally, oh my God, I remember this one gentleman. I remember when he first started dating his now baby mama, I remember being like, I'm going to give him a different name. Hey, Jared. I was like, Jared, I don't really think this woman is with you for you. Like, I think that she's with you to get in your pockets. And I was like, I bet you she's just going to like suddenly end up pregnant, like out of like nowhere. And then he was like, no, sure enough.
Yeah, but like, you know what?
Now,
like
full custody.
What you can take this same approach and talk to all these women that are sending these serial killers love notes and used panties to prison and say, hey,
like
the guy that triple murdered his whole family probably isn't a good guy.
Oh no, I'm very neutral. I can see it on like both parties and stuff, and I'm like, why did you think that like this girl was
because
gonna be,
it's natural. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Service girl. You didn't think she was gonna cheat on you every fucking night, bro? Like,
but
what's
that's
wrong?
what we're attracted to, and that's what we're naturally drawn to. that's intuition, and that's the male sex drive, and that's women's desire to have like a hot dude that can protect her and fight and be violent against other men.
Isn't the ultimate goal, especially for men, is to like procreate? Like, why are you
Yeah.
not looking at women more of like if they're going to be a good mom or not?
Because that has nothing to do with whether you can have a baby. Like, it's not about being a good mother. It's like, are you
If I was a man, like I would
hold
not
on,
be.
I'm telling you, this is what the drive is. The drive has not, I mean, that's part of it. Don't get me wrong. Like, but the actual drive is like, how many women can I get out of how many kids can I get out of this woman? How many babies can I get out of her? That's why men are more attracted, generally speaking, to more youthful, like fertile looking women, like younger women that have round hips and all that.
Like, why
right?
do you
Like,
want to
so it's
have
natural.
a baby with a woman that's younger who can't even take care of herself? And
that's why we spread them everywhere. Because if you're a shitty mother, like I only lose one kid, I got 1,000 of them other out there. It's literally spreading seed. You're saying like that I should consider quality when you're telling me my nature is just to care about quantity. I don't care.
I can't wrap my head around this darkness.
No, but like that's the thing. This is it. Like this is the thing that you just did, right? Like hold on, and this it's all coming together. It's all coming together. I promise. I'm gonna land it. The same feeling that drives you wanting a man to protect and provide for you, and you want to be with one guy, the guy that's that dude that's better than you and your perfect dream dude. That same biological drive, it's just the inverse for us. We don't want just one. We want 10,000. We want to have a bunch of kids. Like you want to have the best guy to make sure your kids, but like we can have a 10,000 kids. You can only have a dozen or something like that, right? So
I just want to be a nun.
It's just this,
but
like that's the thing.
Now.
It's the same, the same drive for us and the same drive for you. It's just something that is innate to us. But that's why, like, it's tough for women to understand this, because it's tough for women to view relationships through something that's not their own lens. Like we saw tonight when I asked like superlatives and everyone's talking about their own relationships. So I get it. It's unflattering, but it's the truth and it's the reality.
No, I'm not ready for this level of society. I can't handle it.
Well, so Catherine, you said something else that I thought was really interesting, which was you're telling women like don't sleep with a man until you suss him out first, right?
Yeah, and because like it's like you build like that bond, and I can't. Because I agree because if a man is bad for you, if he knows how to lay it down, you're never fucking walking away from him. There's no chance you're going to be stuck with him for 10 years getting punched in the face or whatever horrible thing he's doing, right? Because like he's so attractive and he can lay it down in bed. So like it's very good for women to suss a man out before getting in bed with him. But most women don't do that now. I know, it's bad.
So the men look at you and they're like, she won't give it up, but Becky down the street will, so I'm going to go be with her. So like we have this problem now we've created by women not waiting till marriage, right? Because like women give it up, so why would a man wait?
And this is the problem. I've mentioned this on a previous podcast where I was like, it was so easy for me before COVID for men to be more respectful and be like, yeah, like I'm willing to like wait to like be like make that choice to be intimate with you. And I'm like, oh great, fantastic. And then COVID happened, and I heavily blame women on this. I'm sorry if I make any enemies here. It is what it is. I feel because like before COVID, it was understandable. Like, oh, like I met this girl at a bar. She was drunk, this, that, and the other thing. Like you still had to put in like effort, this, that, and the other thing. After COVID lockdown, people just slithering on over to each other's like apartments or like whatever and just putting out the nookie like night one, zero effort. And then finally you could just go shopping for like that, like practically every night if you like wanted to. So then after like when things started opening back up, it was like I was a three-eyed like monster where people would be like, I'm not like waiting for a woman. And then this whole like manosphere like thing came out. And I was like, I am so okay. You know, like still sticking to like my morals at the end of the day and like requiring that like someone like please like have like enough respect for like this potential like dynamic relationship between us. But yeah, no, it like exploded after COVID where, you know, and then like so women like now also are like, well, if I want to go out and get it, and then I'm like, okay, but over time it's just really bad for society, but okay. So it's terrible.
I agree.
Terrible. Don't Moff.
I just wanted to see if any ladies had anything they wanted to add to that. I really don't. I really don't.
I think there seems like there's so much out there. Then why would somebody wait?
Yeah, exactly. And
You
people
can just
don't
go get
give
it
a shit.
anywhere.
They're like, we don't care. You're a good woman. I want ass tonight. Sucks that you're a good woman. I'm not
Yeah, but
interested. And
At
I'm
least,
like, oh,
I mean, do you want somebody to be with somebody who has that mindset? Like, ew.
probably not.
Yeah.
So
I know we're coming up on a little time here. It's about an hour and a half in. I said before, I promise you ladies this opportunity. Is there anything, we kind of talked about something already. We can go down that rabbit hole or we can talk about something differently, but is there anything the ladies want to ask myself and TC? Maybe not everybody has a question, but if you got them, like we'll answer them as long as you want to be here. But I know there was a question about like our relationship statuses and stuff like that. So, but anybody can fire away.
I do have a question on, as we're having these topics, is there any differentiation between the type of woman or the type of man that we're speaking about? So everything sounds like it's generalized to, this is one prototype of a woman, one prototype of a man. And I bring that question up because TC, I think you said, oh, well, in today's time, if someone's not giving up, we'll just go down the street and get Becky. I'm like, okay, go get Becky. That's not affecting me. That's good for you. Like, that's do you. I know my worth. So please, I'm encouraging you, go to Becky. So are we talking about it's only one prototype of a woman and one prototype of a man as we're making these comments or topics? Do y'all ever make a difference between, say, a weaker woman or a weaker man? Like, how does that work in y'all mind? Is it just one woman and one man?
I think we talk about, at least for myself, I use generalities and generalizations quite a bit because I think that's the only way we can even make statements about anything that's meaningful. Like if we're worried about the things that are happening in the outliers or like the exceptions to the rule, like it just doesn't help us with anything, right? So if we look at things on more of a it's not to say there aren't exceptions, but it's not really useful to talk about them because it's like, okay, if they're exception, that's fine, go be the exception. It's like, if every time I said the sky was blue, I had to also say, but also sometimes it's red or orange or yellow or purple or brown or gray, it'd be ridiculous. Like I'd never be able to do that. So like there's this sort of implied, it's sort of implied that there are outliers and there are exceptions, but like the exceptions don't then in this turn like disprove the rule. So it's like, I think it's better for people to live in a way where the most likely scenario is going to happen versus like it's like 99% of the time you get into a car, you're not getting into a car crash, but you're not going to live as if the 1% that it does, right? Like, yeah, it could happen, but are you never going to drive? So that's just kind of how I look at it.
So for you, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
For you, Moff and TC. So you two, what do you call it? Backstage or off camera, we were talking about the relationship status. Y'all both provided two different ones, right? Moff didn't really say anything. So are you both saying that with having two different statuses, you both generally agree across the board with everything that the topics and from the male's perspective, you both agree on all of that? Like there's no difference in y'all thought patterns or thoughts in general?
Oh, he and I definitely like, I wouldn't say
Aligned.
philosophically. Yeah, but like there's things he would do with his relationships that I wouldn't. But that's not because it's not because the things that, and I'll let him talk about what it meant. Like, it's not because I think he believes wrong. That's just like a personal preference. Like, I don't have a problem with him having multiple wives. I'm like one of the only guys out there that like supports it. And I'm like, everything he tells me about like biblical polygyny and how spouse is like a feminist creation, I buy all it. I'm like, cool, like awesome. I'm into it. Maybe it's not something I would do with myself because of logistics or other reasons, but I don't necessarily like whether I'm in a relationship or not. It doesn't change my opinion really on anything.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, there's two different things like on the generality side of it, right? So it's like if 100 people get in a car crash and all 100 aren't wearing their seatbelt and 2 people live, that doesn't mean like we shouldn't wear a seatbelt, right? So like, are there going to be some men that when you make them wait, they'll happily wait? Maybe. Like there are definitely men out there, but at the same time, like men want to exercise their options. That's how we're wired, right? So if a woman is going to allow a man to exercise his options, he's generally going to go be with that woman. And like back in the day, we kind of solved this problem where women waited till marriage, so men didn't have like a more attractive option to go to. So like, yeah, there are some men nowadays that will wait for whatever a woman says, but a lot of times it's like the women, or it's the men that the women don't want as much, because the men with more options that are more attractive are going to just go exercise them. So this is like, and I'm not saying that this is well, it is a bad thing, I think, but like this is just kind of how it is nowadays, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying like it's good, bad, ugly, wrong. Like this is how it is, right? So all we can do is know like, hey, we're gonna get in if we're gonna get in a car crash, wear a seatbelt probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question though. Anybody else have anything before we start to wrap up?
Do you think
Okay.
that in society we'll ever
please.
be able to go back to like a point where dating was perhaps before COVID?
It's possible,
Oh,
but
boy.
you're not. Yeah, I mean, I don't
Oh,
know how
boy.
much time we have. This is all we talk about, by the way.
I think there'll be an evolved version of it
I'll
for
say
sure.
this, like, I think a return is inevitable, but you're not going to like the way we get there. It's going to happen,
no.
and the way that we're going to get there is going to be like
Islam.
barbaric
No.
and bloody. Yeah,
Well,
No.
I'll give y'all ladies a little.
give us
I'll
a
give
little
y'all
dive down
ladies
the
a little
rabbit hole.
taste. I'll give y'all ladies a little taste. So currently, as of today, I think it was like a week ago, 50% of women in the U.S. age 30 and over have 0 children. Right,
Wow.
and of the women that have children, the amount that they have is not enough to replace our population. So the only way that our current civilization in the West doesn't collapse from way too many old people and not enough workers is by us importing people. And the people we import have to have a disproportionately high birth rate to fix the problem. So if we import people from Ireland that also reproduce below the birth rate, below the replacement rate, we're not going to fix the problem. So people from Muslim countries have like 7 or 8 kids each, right? So fast forward, if all the
Yes, I understand the argument you're making, but a lot of these people that we're importing are also living permanently off like government assistance. So they're like, hell yeah,
Yes.
let's have like a bunch of kids. Like,
Yeah.
That has-
right,
know,
so
we know, we know.
Are
You know how this
gonna want-
works.
They are going to want us to go back to that traditional role, and they are going to be the
We're
majority.
going
of
to have to.
exactly. So if we fast forward 30 years, if all of the people from a different culture have 8 children and all the people from this culture have 1.3 children,
You're
in
outnumbered.
30 years, a majority of the voter base will be of a different culture, and then they will vote to make society how they want it.
That's
So
right.
I think this is not a good idea, right? But I think at the rate we're heading, like we're going to go back to the way things used to be in a way that women are not going to like.
Y'all are not going to have fun with that.
So I can be glad that I'm middle-aged.
If there's a silver lining, there it is.
I'm on my way
A
out.
son,
Bye.
not a daughter.
I have a daughter, and I don't want her living like that.
You got to mobilize the young women to have as many babies as possible.
Line them up.
Yeah.
Well, how does a white person afford it then if we're not living off of government assistance?
Well, you got to stop buying the bags and going on vacations.
Musk, and I'm like willing and able. Let's go, Elon. Like, what? Huh?
You have to,
I
you
can
have
make
to, you have to live with.
I can make you a budget to raise a family with 8 children on
Yes.
one man's blue collar
He's
income
doing it.
in middle America. I can make you the budget. I have guys I'm working with that I'm making them these budgets. So there's no vacations, there's no extravagant shit. Like we're cooking from scratch.
So the whole
I
point
already
of
do
life
that,
is
and I
just
live
to
in the
reproduce.
city.
Well, duh.
Why else are we here?
No.
What are we here to go to Taylor Swift concerts? What else
To
are we here
raise,
for?
to raise
Yeah,
share,
let's
to
do
contribute
that.
to shareholder value, to increase shareholder value,
I mean, I think there's some moderation.
to
in
make
it
more
all,
widgets.
but-
Go ahead, Denise.
No, I think there's moderation in it all, but the ultimate goal is to have a life of full with people who you've cared for. And, you know, I mean, any of us who are mothers here, like there's no greater thing for me personally than to watch my children thrive. I wish I could have had 10 more, but I don't think it's my only purpose, but it definitely feels like the best purpose, you know?
I've never met a woman who's been in a horrible marriage that has children from it. And when I asked them, would you go back in time and never have been with that man and also not have your children? I've never met one that said no. And same thing with men that have gotten destroyed in divorce. Not a single one has said, I would go back in time and not be with that woman and not have my children.
That is so true.
I can say I can think of 2 women that would say, I love my kids, but if I could have gone back, I would have picked a better man.
Tell them to get out of therapy and stop taking SSRIs.
They were thinking with their loins and not like with their logic.
They're thinking with their SSRI brain on that one, I think.
Yeah.
That was cute.
Okay, I'll be done.
I don't hear him.
I also don't.
Moff, we can't hear you.
Moff.
Yeah,
I've been on this whole time. Wow, I've been wrapping up for like
Now
the
you're
last
back.
minute and a half. Yeah, it's dumb. Wow. I was really on a nice roll too. So we are going to start wrapping up there. We appreciate it. Hope everybody had a good time. Ladies, you're all really patient. I know there's a lot of you tonight, so try to get around to you as much as possible. But you're all welcome back. You're friends of the show. Stay in touch with Spencer. He handles all the talent, like booking talent, the guests and panelists and things like that. But you can come back anytime. We do the show same time, same place every week, Monday, 8 p.m. here on the Ancestral Masculinity channel. And then tomorrow, if any of the ladies want to tune in, you certainly don't have to. Not backstage here. If you guys, we're going to start doing on these. We do a show on Tuesday as well, 8 o'clock Eastern, called Navigating Modern Dating, me and TC. And we will talk about tonight's episode. This is like gives us a ton of ammo and stuff to talk about in a way where he and I can just riff off each other. So, you know, if you want to hear more of like our unfiltered thoughts on it, you're welcome to tune in. And you guys are watching, come by too. So, but in any case, that was really fun. Like I said, we'll go ahead and wrap there. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, let us know. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys same time next week.